Hello friends, I am BB Arjun, lecturer in English, Government Polytechnic Kolhapur. Today we shall talk about principles of effective communication. After watching this video, you will be able to be aware of the various principles of effective communication. So far, uh, we have been talking about communication, its definition, then the cycle of communication, the elements of communication. But now, for the first time, we are talking about the effective communication. Now, why we added this word effective before communication? So it makes a difference. So, what is that difference? Stop this video for a while and write down your responses. Okay, friends, let us resume our discussion again. When we get an expected feedback from the receiver, then we call it an effective communication. If we make a receiver to work to take an action as we wish, then we call it an effective communication. So, in other words, we get a positive feedback in effective communication. But how can we make this communication effective? There are certain principles of effective communication, and we shall talk about them one by one. So let us go ahead. The first principle is clarity in encoding message. A sender encodes the message. When he or she encodes a message, he chooses words, phrases, sentences, expressions, some signs, symbols, actions, and a variety of such things. Maybe some graph, chart, map, or a combination of some of them as per the requirement. While encoding, he or she must encode the message very clearly so that there won't be any ambiguity, so that the message may not render more than one meaning. So that clarity should be there while one encodes the message. The next point is clarity in stating purpose. Now, every event is a purposeful event, and so the event of communication, we always communicate with people with some certain purpose in mind. So, we must have a very clear sense of purpose in our mind when we actually intervene in any communication event or we involve in any communication event. Then the next principle is correctness of the message. Whenever we are going to pass any information, it must be correct. There should not be any false or incorrect information to be given to the receiver. Then comes the conciseness of the message. When uh, we wish to make our message concise, then we need to use precise words and expressions. Using exact words or expressions in a situation lessen the burden of your message. It makes your message exact, and so you need not to use more words, more expressions, phrases. So if you use exact and precise words, it will automatically make your message concise. Then completeness of message. You wish to convey a message which may have many ideas in it. So arrange your ideas according to the relevance and importance, and make your message a complete one so that receiver can get a complete information. Then coherence of the message. When it comes to coherence, one must be able to use the connectors, that is conjunctions, in a careful way, and it will offer coherence to your message. Then courteous language. When it comes to the use of language in a formal setup, we must use a formal language, a polite language. So that is expected by courteous language. Furthermore, the language must be acceptable in administration and court of law. So that sort of formal language is to be used, especially when we are involving in a formal setup. Then comes the selection of proper channel. Now, it is the prime duty of a sender to choose a proper channel. He or she must have to take acute care while making choice of a channel. If he or she chooses a wrong channel, then uh, the receiver is not likely to get the message in time in a proper manner, or he may not understand it in a proper way. So channel is very important here. There might be multiple channels. There might be multiple ways to pass a message from one place to another. So he or she has to take acute care while selecting a channel. Then knowledge about the receiver. A sender must take into account whatever information he or she can gather about the receiver. It helps him or her to prepare his or her message accordingly. So try to know as much as things as you can about the receiver. Let us say his age, gender, his intellectual capacity, or whether he is professional, a layman, a worker, whatever may the information may be. So collect as much information as you can about a receiver, and that will eventually help you in framing your message. Then taking care of probable barriers. When uh, we communicate, ideally there should not be any barrier in communication. But many times we see that one or the other kind of other type of barrier encounters, and the process of communication gets hampered. So to avoid such barriers, a sender must take acute care before he or she actually involves in the communication event. It is his or her prime duty to gauge such probable barriers and try his best to avoid such barriers. Sometimes a receiver may also help to eliminate such barriers, but it is sender's prime duty to take care of such probable barriers within time. Then comes giving feedback. In communication, feedback assumes much importance. If there is no feedback, there is no communication. So there has to be some kind of feedback from receiver. It may be positive or it may be negative. But in both the cases, it increases the chances of further passing of messages. If it is a positive one, okay, fine. Then they may go for another message, next information. If it is negative one, a negative means receiver might not understand something. Receiver may have confusion about something. He may have some doubts about something. So he or she can pose his queries, his questions to the sender so that sender may have some better explanation, some better message to satisfy his questions or queries. And then by that way they can go ahead. So there has to be a feedback, reliability and uniformity of the message. When you frame your message, you must make it reliable. It should not consist any hypothetical statements. It must be supported with facts and figures. Arrange all your ideas according to their relevance and importance so that the whole body of message appears as a uniform one. Then comes the time management. Now, time is very important as far as the professional and business sphere is concerned. We have to follow our deadlines. We have to arrange meetings. Then we have to wait for somebody. Sometimes we are given a very short time, like 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, and we have to confine to that time only and express our thoughts, our views, or our message very effectively within that given time. So, whenever we involved in communication, we must always keep this time factor in our mind. One has to be very conscious about manipulating time or using time. Then comes the use of informal communication. Now, formal communication and informal communication go hand in hand. But it doesn't mean that a person who is new to you will be very conversant or will develop a rapport or he will be very informal with you. Initially, unless and until we are we develop a rapport with each other, we will not be that conversant. Our talks, our communication will be a sort of formal communication. So if we develop a rapport, a kind of relationship, a kind of friendliness, then it will be very beneficial for both the parties. So try to develop such rapport, friendliness, and relationship with each other to ease the situation. So, friends, these were all the principles of effective communication. For the time being, this is all from my side. I would like to stop here. So, thank you. Happy learning.